My name is Melissa Jeter, Librarian Specialist for the Art Tatum African American Resource Center, located in the Kent branch of the Toledo-Lucas County Public Library. Welcome to the Art Tatum African American Resource Center's Oral History Project, the Edrene Cole Collection. Dr. Edrene Cole was a local African American historian and educator who began collecting the stories of noteworthy Toledoans in the African American community. With this oral history project, the Art Tatum African American Resource Center honors her memory and her work. Join me and University of Toledo Professor of Anthropology, Dr. Willie McCather, as Toledo's very own African Americans share the stories of their lives.
Hi, I'm Dr. Willie McCather. In this segment, we're pleased to welcome father and daughter, Mr. William Catlin and his daughter, Cheryl Catlin. Mr. Catlin and Cheryl, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having us.
We're here to talk about your brother, Mr. Catlin, Wendell, who was one of Toledo's earliest realtors and developers. So let's begin with you. Help me understand the family tree. Who are your parents and how many siblings did you have?
Okay, our parents.
Okay.
Well, my parents was Fred and Della Jones Catlin, and Wendell's parents was Fred and Cora Orms. Now,
Okay.
my mother was Wendell's stepmother. She raised him because Cora died
Okay.
when he was a very young boy. So we were raised as brothers, you know.
Okay.
But when we get down to things like this, we have to explain the two situations.
Right. Wait, no. So now, where did you all grow up?
We grew up in Salem, Ohio. It's a Quaker town. It's between Youngstown and East Liverpool, Ohio.
Okay.
And that was our home. All of us went to Salem High School, or went to Salem schools and Salem High School. All of us graduated but two.
Okay.
And there were 10 of us.
There were 10 of you.
There were 10 of us.
So a fairly large family then.
Right, and my mother also graduated from Salem High School, too.
Okay. So then, let me sort of fast forward just a little bit. Which of your siblings came to Toledo first?
The first person to come to Toledo was my sister Ann. She came up here, her name was Ann Palmer, and
Okay.
she came here because of her husband, Carl Palmer. They called him Bud.
Okay.
And Bud came here and worked for, they called the famous furniture store, which was a branch of Stevens Furnitures in Toledo. He worked for them. He was their warehouse manager, and this particular move constituted the fact that he and another gentleman, I can't think of the other gentleman's name at the time, were the first two black salespeople in furniture, for sure. I'm not quite sure as to anything else, for a white establishment.
Okay, good. Okay, before we talk about Wendell Catlin, the realtor and developer, let me ask you, what kind of brother was he?
Oh, he's good, great brother.
Okay.
Fun. He liked to do things. He always had a nice car, and we just loved to ride in his cars. I remember that when I was just a little kid, probably about 6 years old or something, my brother and I would get in the rumble seat of his Buick Roadster, and we always liked to pull the door of the rumble seat down and get back up in there, and he'd all the time have to tell us to open up that door.
Is that
But
right?
no, he was good. He was a good brother, and we had a lot of fun. A lot of fun together.
Uncle Wendell was the youngest, the second youngest of the first five. And Dad was the youngest of all 10.
Okay. So you guys were kind of close in age then, sort of.
Well, no, we weren't close in age.
No.
We just happened to have that. He was the youngest boy of the first five, and I was the youngest and happened to be a boy of the second five. So we had a commonancy, something that we felt, that was a status for us in terms of
Two spoiled brats.
The two young ones. Okay. Well, Cheryl, let me ask you, what do you remember most about your Uncle Wendell?
Well, my uncle passed away when I was an infant,
Okay,
so I
okay.
don't remember him at
Okay,
all.
okay.
However, from time to time here in Toledo, when I say my name is Cheryl Catlin, especially my friends, grandparents, or older people
Okay.
would say, "Are you related to the real estate man?" And I didn't really. I would say yes, and Dad and Uncle Wendell in some ways look alike, so they would think I might be his daughter, or think I might be Pam, and
Okay.
so I think the part that I appreciated about this project is that it made me understand exactly what he did do and why he was remembered by people. And as soon as I said yes, I'm related, their faces would light up.
Really?
And I could tell that they had admiration for him, but I wasn't quite sure why.
Well, now you understand
Yeah.
why. And in fact, I know that you ran for the school board and you ran into someone who knew your Uncle Wendell.
Yes. Mrs. Overton, Jean Overton, is a very nice lady, and she mentored me. I think she took an interest in helping me, talking to me and trying to help. And I really greatly appreciate her time and her insight. And during one of our conversations on the phone, she told me that my Uncle Wendell, when she was doing her radio program, that he was one of the businesses that regularly advertised for her, and that, I think in part she was doing this in remembrance of him, helping me, and I greatly appreciate that.
Wow. Well, it just sounds as if, we're going to get to him right now, but it just sounds as if he made such a contribution to the city, both structural-wise as well as helping individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So let's sort of talk about Mr. Wendell Catlin. About what year did he come to Toledo, and who did he live with when he first arrived?
He started coming periodically. He had his business in Cleveland. My sister was really the cause of him coming here, and the fact, he had got an interest. He would always come back, and then he got an interest in the real estate in Toledo and the opportunity for the blacks in Toledo. And what really got him was there was a big boom of GI housing going up in Toledo for whites. Mm-hmm. And there was no efforts being done for blacks. And he started investigating this. Well, nobody was making any of the contractors here in Toledo were not making any effort to give blacks new homes. And unless a black had the means to build a new home of their own, these GI homes were not being offered to them. So he felt that was an opportunity. So when he came, he started figuring that out, and he found that the banks weren't even offering financing. And there was a redlining, a heavy red line district in Toledo, and it went on for quite a while. But Wendell started to bust it because blacks were concentrated in the inner city and primarily around the Belmont and Dorr and Nebraska and Indiana areas and stuff like that. Now the blacks did not have in Toledo. I won't say blacks. I'll say Toledo did not really have a ghetto like Cleveland and Youngstown and Cincinnati and all these other places. So they had these model cities programs going on where they was going into the ghetto areas of the blacks and tearing down the homes and building up these areas with like project type housing.
Okay.
And so Wendell, with the help of a man from, I'll think of his name in a minute, but he was from Washington, D.C. and worked with HUD. And he helped to get the red tape situation over with so that Wendell could come in and start building the new housing for the blacks. And And this is where the house that he started off with was called a personality home, and it was a ranch style home, and it featured a lot of nice areas, marble countertops and cabinets and all of the new stuff. You know, it was quite an innovative thing, and it was aluminum siding, which was the thing to have at the time, and so he did that, but the financing was also the problem. And what he did in respects to that, they started a black bank in Cleveland, and he was on the board and helped to start this bank, and it was called the Quincy Savings and Loan.
Okay.
And he went down there and presented to the board in regards to what was happening in Toledo, and they decided that they would finance for the Toledo area people the necessary financing to help to get these houses together. So the $300 down payment, GI down payment, that was automatic. But the other part, they couldn't get financing to back. So the Quincy Savings and Loan backed this effort.
Okay, and let me just sort of jump in here, because I know that you mentioned Cleveland. So he wasn't new to real estate when he came to Toledo.
Oh, no, by no means. No. He was very, very well established in Cleveland.
Okay.
I think,
Sure.
I think Uncle Wendell was instrumental in buying homes from white residents and selling them to black residents. And because he had the bank, the financing, he was able to offer financing. And he opened up, along with eliminating some of that redlining, and building his own homes from the ground, he was also able to sell.
You know, just to put this in a little bit of context, just earlier, with a different person rather, we interviewed who was a real estate person here in Toledo in the late 1960s, and she shared with me how even as a realtor then, she would call and ask someone the price of a home, and because they couldn't tell if she was white or black, they would say, well, if it's for a colored person, it's maybe $30,000.
Right.
If it's for a white person, it's $20,000. And how African Americans in Toledo had those kind of difficulties, or would be steered to a particular area of the city. So it's clear that your Uncle Wendell then, or that Wendell Catlin then, was doing exactly the right thing.
Yeah, well, he started the movement out past Belmont and Nebraska and Detroit. The Detroit area was kind of like the cutoff point. And west of Detroit, or close in that area, it was white. And, you know, what they call Parkside and all that was all a white area. So Wendell started the movement out in the Moran area going west, and it seemed that there was a pattern of how blacks migrated. And they migrated, they couldn't get anything past this corridor. Going out like door was like the center part of this corridor, and they couldn't get anything either left or right of this corridor going out west, and they managed to move out into he got them out into the Moran area, which would be the Secor Burn area out in there. They started getting out into there in the white flight. And then his personality homes were scattered, but he primarily started them down on Bronson Street, which was off of North Toledo, off of Stickney Avenue.
Okay.
And then at the same time, they had the freeways running through. So there was a lot of displaced homes going on. So this is one of the reasons why he started. This was an area that was blighted. So he started these new homes in this area, but he scattered them in other places, so that they wouldn't be concentrated as a black establishment.
Is that right?
One of the things that I got a kick out of is his signs where Catlin sells another one, and I thought that was kind of
Catlin sells another one.
Catlin sold another one was his signs.
Okay.
And I guess when the house got sold, he would put it in. And I had asked someone about his personality because I didn't know, and I thought that he was going to be, have a humble demeanor and they said, oh no, He was a very straightforward, very aggressive person, always talking business. And I think part of his ability, I mean, this is me thinking this, knowing the rest of our family and our history, because he was brought up, they were brought up in Salem, which was integrated. It was a Quaker town, and it was integrated. They went to integrated schools. I think his comfort level with white America was high. And then he also had good self-esteem about being an African American, so he didn't sell out. So when you have somebody that has the ability to talk to white people and then also has the interest of African Americans in his heart, that's a good combination to have. So he made it a business of buying white homes and then selling to black, which he didn't exploit people, he helped people.
But in fact, it was, again, the same realtor that we had on the show earlier talked about how in Toledo, African Americans had to have their white counterparts buy a home for them, and then they would sell it to that person back.
This happened also was happening. I'll tell you who the black people's best friend was during that era, and probably right now, too, is the Jew. And this was what was happening in Toledo, in Cleveland, and this is what happened in Toledo because the Jew would buy it and then sell it or transfer it to a black, whatever the necessity was. I remember Wendell wanted a Cadillac, and General Motors was the most prejudiced auto manufacturer there ever was, man. They wasn't even hiring people in their plants to make cars. And they wasn't selling Cadillacs to blacks. So blacks had Lincolns and what was it, Zeppelins. There was a Lincoln and there was a Zeppelin. And the Lincoln and the Zeppelin was the best cars for blacks to have. And this was, of course, made by Ford. But you couldn't get a Cadillac. So if you saw a black with a Cadillac, man, that was a wonderful thing, which is just about the way it is now. But Wendell wanted a Cadillac, and he couldn't. They went down to Central Cadillac to get a Cadillac, and they wouldn't sell him a Cadillac, man. So he said, they ain't going to do this to me. So he naturally got a Jew man to go buy the Cadillac, and they just transferred the title over. So he was so proud of that Cadillac. He'd drive all over Cleveland with that Cadillac.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, but I think it just goes to show you that people during that time, certain people rose up to deal with what was going on at the time.
Right.
And it's people like Wendell Catlin that rose up to help people improve their lives.
Well, I'm just so impressed with people's comments about what an excellent businessman he was.
Yeah.
And he had a very pleasant personality, but he was always talking business, and he was a very smart businessman. And I'm learning to appreciate that.
Yeah, no, again, I keep going back to his motivation because I know we had his daughter on at some point, and she said that even if people didn't have a down payment, he would help make it for them without a problem.
He come here. Wendell had quite a little bit of money. He was listed in Dun & Bradstreet 3 times, and I don't know what the requirement was, but I remember we were very proud as a family because you had to have a few $1 million, nothing. I think nowadays you have to be over $10 million to be a millionaire. Well, at that time, if you got $1 million, you could be a millionaire. So, so Wendell had at least $1 million.
Okay.
So he come here with a little bit of money, and he would help people. He just would naturally help people to do a lot of things. One of the other things he got involved with was neighborhood area
Development. Frederick Douglass Center.
And the Frederick Douglass, he was
Did he
on
really?
that. Oh, yes, he was on that board. He helped
The Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce, all that. Well, the national, the NAC, Neighborhood Area Commission, I think it was, or something like that, was established to help to clean up Toledo, the strip. They called Dorr Street the strip. The strip, and Dorr was Dorr Street and Detroit Avenue, and and going out in that area was something else. All the clubs were there. The Lincoln Theater was there. The Lincoln Motel or Hotel, whatever it was. And it was the nightlife place and everything, the prostitutes and all. There was a hangout place.
Okay.
Wendell had his office right then. There was a railroad track that went across the street at the time, and Wendell had a little old house. It was his business. It was like a bungalow type thing, and on top of this place was this big silhouetted black cat, and that was his motto. And so he and some of the Jewish, he was always friends with Jew people. They established this association to clean up some of the crime areas and things that was attracting crime. Well, not only did it go in terms of the attitudinal cleanup, but it also went with the natural cleanup of the neighborhoods. And out of that was an association or a business organization called Nifty. And Nifty still, I believe, is in existence. And what Nifty does is that when they have big affairs, churches and things like that, and they need to clean up whatever have you, Nifty comes in with the big trash trucks and allows and hauls this stuff away.
Sure.
So Wendell helped start Nifty.
You know, I think one of the combinations that helped Uncle Wendell be so successful is you have to have a solid financial base.
Sure.
If you want to help people.
Sure.
I wish he'd lived long enough to tell me that. But you know, you can have the heart to help people, but you need to have a solid base. And by him being affiliated with starting a black bank, and by him coming to Toledo with an already established real estate business and his own money, he was able to control. And if you want something done the right way, if you have the heart to do it the right way, you need to have the financial backing to do it the right way. And he was able to do that. And I think that's the lesson that I'm walking away. Get rich first, help second.
It helps to help
helps.
people when you are able to direct them towards the right kinds of resources.
And you got the background to do it. You got the power to do it, and he did.
And the fact that he was able to get homes financed in Toledo from Cleveland.
From Cleveland,
You know, that shows them how much, you know.
And he came here with a sophistication of a bigger city.
Bigger city.
And by him being able to navigate through in a bigger city, he understood the game and was able to play it on a different level.
The reason why he really come here, I mean, and stayed, he found that there was a business here for him. But my sister Ann Palmer, that was his favorite person. And I get a little cracked up sometimes, so just excuse me.
It was his favorite person, too.
But,
That's why we're all in Toledo.
Right, okay.
That's why we're all
Well,
here, really.
Yeah.
And she was pretty heavy with the Democratic Party. And but that's why he came, and so it found, he just kind of packed his stuff up and come on to Toledo and started building his homes.
Yeah.
And his wife followed him. There was nothing. So she was coming to Toledo almost. She and Pam was coming to Toledo almost every weekend and so on and so forth, just to see Wendell. So they said that they just decided that they would move to Toledo too. Then they started to migrate back to Cleveland to take up their business situation there. They had people running their establishment there. He had a really huge business there.
Okay. Well, let me just make sure now. So his wife's name was?
Mersey
And
Catlin. Right.
so she also worked in the business with him?
Yes.
And she had a great entrepreneurial spirit, too.
Did she really?
She started a lot of businesses.
Okay.
And a lot of people. She lived longer than he did. He only lived in Toledo 4 years before he passed. So he accomplished quite a deal in only 4 years.
In those 4 years.
And he was moving fast. But Aunt Mersey then remarried Reverend Benton, the pastor of Mount Zion Baptist Church. She helped to start the Black Professional Women's Association. She was involved in so many things. And I remember Aunt Mersey a lot, but she was always starting some kind of business.
You know, again, it sounds as if, Wendell helped get homes financed in Toledo. He built homes. He may have been responsible for white flight in Toledo. And so he just made tremendous contributions to the city, and this city is better off because of Mr. Wendell Catlin. And so, so we're just pleased that the two of you were able to come in and share his story. But anything you want to add before we?
I just want to thank you all for this program, because I just think it as a family we're very honored to have Uncle Wendell remembered.
Well, it appears that the Catlins has served this country well, and we know in particular of one that served Toledo well.
Yes,
you know,
he did.
and again, we are just pleased to be able to profile Wendell because he is a hero to this community, and he gave much. And we thank both of you for coming in and helping us to share his story.
Thank you.
Thank you.